Lieutenant Mara Quinn moved carefully through the dim corridors of Outpost Vesper 9, her boots making soft thuds on the metal floor. The faint hum of the station's life support systems was the only sound, punctuated by the occasional beep from her wrist console. The gas giant outside the viewport glowed with a swirling mix of blue and green, casting strange shadows across the walls. Myra had walked these halls countless times, yet tonight something felt different. There was a tension in the air, a sense that the universe itself was holding its breath. Cale stood near the observation window, his tall frame rigid and posture unusually stiff. His eyes, large and iridescent like molten glass, reflected the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. Though he had lived among humans for years, he still found their casual interactions baffling. Mara approached cautiously, remembering how he had once watched her eat a meal with polite fascination, trying to understand the strange ritual. His species did not eat in the same way humans did, yet he observed, always learning. "Are you all right?" Mara asked, her voice soft. She didn't expect him to answer immediately. Cale's species often paused before responding, weighing every word, but tonight he seemed even more silent than usual. "I am functioning," he replied finally, his voice flat yet carrying a hint of unease. "You requested my presence." "It is unusual for humans to summon me without urgency." Myra let out a small, ironic laugh. "Sometimes humans just want company, or maybe I just wanted to check if you were alive." She walked closer, trying not to notice how rigid he remained. "You've been staring at that window for hours." Cale turned slowly, his gaze locking onto hers. "The planet is captivating. I am curious about your fascination with it. You seem at peace here." His words were halting, as though he was translating a complex emotion into something his mind could understand. Mara smiled faintly, a mixture of amusement and frustration. "It's not just the planet, Cale, it's the view. Out here in the vastness of space, you realize how small our problems are, how tiny we are, and yet how important every choice we make can be." Cale studied her, and for a moment the usual distance between them felt smaller. Humans expressed themselves in ways that defied logic, and Mara was one of the few who understood the subtle language of emotion that transcended words. Their quiet was interrupted by a sudden alert from the station's central system. Red lights flashed across the corridor, and a loud siren echoed through the metal halls. Mara's heart jumped, and Cale's stance stiffened even more. "Report!" Myra demanded, pulling her sidearm and checking her console. "An unknown vessel has entered orbit," Cale responded, his voice now sharp, precise. "It is not on any registered flight path. Identification protocols are failing. Unknown technology detected." Myra cursed under her breath. This was the last thing she wanted tonight, a potential encounter with an unknown alien species. Outpost Vesper 9 was lightly armed, designed more for research than defense. "Get to the command center. We need all eyes on the screens. Now." Cale moved swiftly, his movements fluid and controlled. Humans often underestimated his speed, but his species had evolved for efficiency in ways humans couldn't match. Mara followed, her mind racing with strategies, contingencies, and worst-case scenarios. By the time they reached the command center, the crew was already at their stations, eyes glued to monitors displaying a sleek, dark vessel slowly orbiting the gas giant. Its shape was unlike anything they had seen, a mix of organic curves and metallic edges that shimmered with an unsettling light. "Scan for weapons or hostile intent," Mara ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We need to know if we're dealing with diplomacy or combat." Cale's fingers moved over the interface with precision. "Sensors indicate no immediate aggressive activity. The vessel is observing, but caution is advised. It is capable of emitting energy pulses beyond our current understanding." Mara nodded, absorbing the information. "All right, let's try a comms approach. Open a channel. I'll speak first." As she activated the interstellar communicator, she felt Cale's eyes on her. For a moment, she caught a glimpse of something unfamiliar, a flicker of curiosity, almost wonder in his gaze. Humans often found ways to inspire emotions in others, even those who thought themselves immune. "Unknown vessel, this is Lieutenant Mara Quinn of Outpost Vesper 9, she began, her tone steady but friendly. "You are in restricted space. Please identify yourself and your intentions." The reply came in a voice that was both melodic and alien, a strange harmony that resonated through the speakers. "We are travelers. We mean no harm, yet we seek what lies within your station. Will you welcome us?" Mara exchanged a quick glance with Kale. His posture relaxed slightly, though his eyes remained cautious. "We don't usually have visitors," she said carefully. "Why are you here?" The voice hesitated, then replied, "Curiosity, knowledge. We recognize your species, potential. We wish to see if it is as remarkable as our sensors suggest." Mara's eyebrows raised. Kale's species had never received such a message without immediate hostility. And now, an alien race was openly acknowledging humanity's potential, a rare form of respect in the galaxy. Before she could respond, the station shook violently, lights flickering as alarms blared. "What was that?" one of the crew shouted. Kale's eyes narrowed. "Impact detected on the station's outer hull, not from our visitors, but from an unknown source, likely a debris collision." Mara's heart raced. She knew the difference between random debris and something more sinister. She activated the emergency protocols, sealing sections of the station and securing the crew. Kale worked beside her, his calm precision balancing her quick instincts. Hours passed like this, with small tremors and minor damage revealing the fragility of the station. Through it all, Mara noticed Kale's gaze lingering on her more than usual. It wasn't just concern, it was understanding. Humans had a way of connecting through shared danger, and Kale seemed to be experiencing it for the first time. Finally, as the station stabilized and the last of the alerts cleared, Mara exhaled heavily. She wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Kale. "Thanks for sticking with me. I couldn't have managed it alone." For a moment, Kale froze. The words hung in the air, more powerful than any technical report or command order. "Thanks, love," she added softly, almost instinctively, her eyes meeting his. Kale's reaction was immediate but subtle. His usual composure faltered, and a faint blush spread across his cheeks, an alien equivalent, Mara suspected, of embarrassment or surprise. He looked at her as if the words were a puzzle he had never encountered, their meaning heavy with something beyond logic. "I do not understand this expression fully," he admitted after a pause, his voice low, almost vulnerable. "Yet it resonates. I will remember it." Mara smiled gently, sensing the bridge forming between them. Humans had long used words to inspire, comfort, and challenge, and now Kale was beginning to learn that even a simple phrase could change the course of thought, of perception, of alliance. Outside the viewport, the gas giant swirled on, indifferent to the events unfolding on the tiny outpost. Mara and Kale stood together, watching the endless clouds, feeling a quiet connection born not from duty or obligation, but from the shared human experience of trust and gratitude. And for the first time, Kale wondered if there was more to humans than logic, more to courage than combat. He had witnessed the power of their words, their emotions, their ability to inspire. Perhaps humanity's greatest weapon was not in its technology, but in its heart. Mara placed a reassuring hand on Kale's arm, a gesture of comfort and camaraderie. "Come on," she said, smiling. "Let's make sure the rest of the night goes a little more smoothly." Kale nodded, his movements slightly less rigid, his mind buzzing with questions he had never dared to ask. Humans were strange, unpredictable, remarkable. And now, thanks to a single, simple phrase, he had glimpsed something extraordinary, something he couldn't unsee. Together, they moved down the corridor, side by side, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them next, bonded by an understanding that transcended words, species, and the vast emptiness of space. The morning light from the gas giant barely penetrated the thick viewport, yet the corridors of Outpost Vesper 9 buzzed with activity. After the night of unexplained tremors and strange signals, the crew moved with tense efficiency, repairing minor damage and running continuous diagnostics. Mara Quinn strode through the hallways, her mind calculating every possibility. Even with Kale at her side, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. The unknown vessel still lingered in orbit, a silent observer that made the hairs on her neck rise. Kale walked beside her, moving with quiet precision. His presence was calming, even when the situation demanded urgency. Mara had begun to notice subtle changes in him. He lingered on her words longer than before, watching her as if trying to understand the meaning behind every glance, every inflection. The simple phrase from the night before, "Thanks, love," echoed in his mind, unrelenting, compelling. Humans used words in strange ways, Kale realized, but their power was undeniable. "Lieutenant," Kale said, his voice low and cautious. "The unknown vessel has altered its orbit. It maintains distance, yet its trajectory suggests continued observation. Sensors detect fluctuations in its energy emissions." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Fluctuations in what way?" she asked, moving toward the command center. "Patterns consistent with scanning and analysis," Kale explained. "It is studying us. It does not seem hostile, yet it is assessing our capabilities, our technology, and perhaps our behavior." Mara paused for a moment. "Behavior?" she asked, leaning closer. "Like what we do when we think no one is watching." Kale nodded, the gesture slow and deliberate. "Yes, it seems fascinated by our actions. Perhaps it is evaluating us for potential alliance or for something else." He hesitated, struggling with the uncertainty. Humans often acted unpredictably. Kale had begun to understand that unpredictability was a strength, but even he could not fully anticipate its outcomes. By the time they reached the command center, the crew had already begun preparing contingency plans. Displays showed the alien vessel's movement, and engineers whispered about energy signatures they could not identify. Mara activated the intercom, her voice calm but authoritative. "All stations, listen up. We're going to assume this vessel is neutral for now, but that doesn't mean we relax. Maintain shields at optimal levels, keep weapons ready, and monitor communications. I want constant updates. No signal goes unchecked." A junior officer hesitated. "Lieutenant, do you really think they mean no harm? After last night's vibrations, maybe we should." "Maybe we should," Mara interrupted, her tone firm but not harsh. "We don't assume, we act, prepare, protect. Humans survive because we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. That's why we're still here." "Understood," the officer nodded, swallowing nervously. Mara knew that fear could spread quickly on a small outpost, but human courage often came from discipline, determination, and the willingness to take risks others might avoid. Kale observed her, his mind cataloging every detail. Humans were remarkable, he thought. Even under pressure, they inspired those around them. Even now, Mara's composure seemed to infuse the crew with a calm determination. The phrase, "thanks, love," returned to him unbidden. It was not just a word. It was an expression of trust, of appreciation, of connection. Kale realized he had never seen an alien species wield such power through language alone. Hours passed with no direct contact from the vessel, yet tension remained high. Mara moved from station to station, checking on repairs, monitoring communication logs, and offering brief words of encouragement. Each time she passed Kale, she noticed his gaze lingering, a silent curiosity mixed with something almost human, a longing to understand, to connect, to participate in the strange emotional patterns humans created. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a new anomaly. Mara and Kale rushed to the observation deck, where displays highlighted a dark shape emerging from the shadow of the gas giant. "It's not the same vessel," Kale said, scanning the readings. "This object, it is moving fast, highly advanced propulsion, unknown origin." "No communication signals." Mara's pulse quickened. "Prepare defense protocols. Everyone positions. Kale, get me every energy reading you can find. I want to know what we're dealing with before it even reaches us." The object streaked closer, a sleek form that defied the laws of aerodynamics as Mara knew them. Lights danced across its surface, reflecting the gas giant's swirling colors in a pattern that almost seemed intelligent. The crew held their collective breath as the object slowed, hovering just outside the station's defensive perimeter. A soft hum filled the room, vibrating through metal floors and consoles. Then, unexpectedly, the object projected a holographic figure, a humanoid shape, tall and graceful, yet distinctly alien. Its eyes glowed faintly, and its voice resonated in a melodic tone that seemed to harmonize with the station's systems. "Humans of Outpost Vesper 9, the figure began. "We have observed your species for many cycles. Your resilience, your ingenuity, your emotional depth surpasses expectations. We request a demonstration of your capabilities, not in conflict, but in understanding." "Will you comply?" Mara exchanged a glance with Kale. His face, usually unreadable, now betrayed a flicker of awe. "They want to test us," he said softly. "Not in war, but in skill, strategy, and perhaps morality." Mara nodded, her mind racing. Humans thrived on challenge. Survival was in their nature, but so was creativity, the ability to adapt when the rules changed, when the odds seemed impossible. She straightened, her voice steady. "We comply, name the test, and we will meet it." The hologram shimmered. "You will face 3 trials. One of strategy, one of collaboration, and one of endurance. Your performance will determine if your species is worthy of consideration for partnership." Kale tilted his head, a gesture Mara had learned to read over months. "They are evaluating not just our technology," he said quietly. "They are judging our species' essence." Mara's lips curved in a faint smile. "Then they're about to see why humans survive no matter the odds." The first trial began immediately. Holographic displays filled the observation deck, depicting a complex simulation of asteroid fields, collapsing energy grids, and hostile drones. The crew was required to navigate the virtual environment, directing unmanned ships through obstacles with precision and speed. Mara took command, issuing clear, concise orders. "Engineer Flynn, reroute power to shields. Navigator Ortiz, plot course through Sector 7. Kale, I need your analysis on the drone patterns. Predict their paths before they strike." Kale's movements were precise, almost elegant, as he input calculations at speeds Mara could barely follow. Together, they adapted to each challenge, using a combination of human intuition and Kale's alien precision. Every obstacle they overcame reinforced a lesson humans had learned over millennia. Teamwork and ingenuity often outweighed raw power. Hours passed. Each trial grew more difficult, testing patience, leadership, and mental endurance. Crew members grew exhausted, but Mara pushed them with a balance of encouragement and discipline. Kale stayed close, assisting quietly, occasionally speaking in soft tones that Mara had learned to interpret. The phrase, "thanks, love," resurfaced in her mind. She realized that these simple words could connect beings, inspire courage, and even influence the heart of a species not accustomed to emotion. The final trial was the most grueling. The simulation created a virtual catastrophe, a space station destabilizing above a populated planet. The crew had to evacuate civilians, stabilize critical systems, and prevent a chain reaction that could destroy the planet. Stress levels were extreme, and mistakes could mean virtual annihilation. Mara coordinated with Kale, their combined human-alien synergy guiding the crew. Kale observed Mara's decisions closely, noting not just strategy, but the moral and emotional choices she made. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but their courage often stemmed from empathy, trust, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. Kale understood now why this species was remarkable. Finally, as the simulation ended, the crew collapsed in exhaustion. Mara wiped sweat from her brow, smiling faintly. Kale stood beside her, silent, but there was a new clarity in his eyes, a recognition of what he had witnessed. The holographic figure returned. "Your species demonstrates not only skill and intelligence, but the unique capacity to adapt, care, and persevere. You are worthy." Mara let out a relieved sigh, feeling the weight of the trials lift. Kale turned to her, his voice quiet but firm. "I understand now. Humans are extraordinary not because of their weapons, not because of their technology, but because of their essence, their heart." Mara's chest swelled with pride. "And that, Kale, is why I said what I did. Even in moments of fear, you have to trust, to connect, to rely on one another. That's humanity." Kale hesitated, then looked at her, his eyes reflecting something akin to wonder. "I remember your words, thanks, love. I understand them more now." Mara smiled, realizing that trust and courage were contagious, and that even an alien mind could be moved by a single, sincere phrase. Humans had survived and thrived because of ingenuity, bravery, and connection. And now Kale, who had once been distant and logical, was beginning to see that truth for himself. As the crew celebrated their success, Mara and Kale stood together at the viewport, watching the gas giants swirl beneath them. Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, filled with possibilities. Mara knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven its strength once more, and with allies like Kale, the future held adventures, challenges, and triumphs yet to come. And somewhere deep in the quiet corners of his mind, Kale repeated the words again. "Thanks, love." A small phrase, yet one capable of bridging the vast distances between species, a testament to the enduring power of humanity. The calm after the trials lasted only a few cycles. Though the alien observers had declared humanity worthy, the galaxy was full of unknown dangers, and Mara Quinn knew better than to let her guard down. Outpost Vesper 9 was still vulnerable. Supplies were limited, defensive capabilities modest, and the alien vessel had not fully revealed its intentions. Mara's mind raced as she walked through the corridors, checking on her crew, who were still exhausted but brimming with a sense of pride. Kale followed closely, his movements smooth but deliberate. He had spent hours processing the trials, watching human resilience in action. Unlike his species, which prized precision and predictability, humans thrived on creativity, improvisation, and emotion. Kale had begun to understand that these traits were as powerful as any technology. The phrase, "thanks, love," had become more than words. It was a symbol of trust, of courage, and of connection that transcended logic. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. Mara spun toward the nearest console. "Report!" The junior officer on duty looked pale. "Lieutenant, we're detecting multiple vessels entering the outer perimeter. Their energy signatures match the advanced propulsion patterns from the simulation." "They're real and they're moving fast." Mara's heart tightened. "Weapons ready, shields up. Kale, scan their formation and advise on their capabilities. We need every detail." Kale's eyes glowed faintly as he worked. "Their technology is superior in speed and energy output. They may be scouting, testing, or planning an attack. Their patterns suggest coordination, intelligence, and adaptability." Mara nodded grimly. "Then we'll show them why humans survive. Everyone stay sharp. This is what we trained for." The vessels arrived within moments, surrounding the station like dark predators against the swirling colors of the gas giant. The crew braced for impact, hearts pounding. Mara's voice cut through the panic with calm authority. "Do not fire unless fired upon. Observe, adapt, and act. Kale, I need predictive analysis. Tell me what they'll do next." Kale's fingers moved over the console, analyzing data at speeds Mara could barely comprehend. "They are testing our response patterns. Each movement is calculated, yet there is uncertainty. They do not fully understand us. Their actions are aggressive, yet restrained. They are probing our instincts." Mara's lips pressed together. "Then let's give them an answer they'll never forget. Crew, follow my lead. Kale, coordinate with me. Use their expectations against them. Humans adapt. Humans survive. Let's prove it." The first clash was sudden. Drones launched from the alien vessels, small but powerful, designed to overwhelm the station's defenses. Mara moved swiftly, issuing commands with precision. "Redirect power to forward shields. Deploy countermeasures. Keep the drones from reaching the outer hull." Kale's calculations guided the crew. His alien precision combined with human instinct formed a seamless strategy. They dodged, countered, and redirected the drones with unexpected ingenuity. Each crew member performed beyond their usual limits, inspired by Mara's calm determination and Kale's calculated support. Hours passed as waves of drones tested the outpost's defenses. Mara's mind never rested, constantly adjusting tactics, predicting enemy maneuvers, and finding openings where none seemed to exist. The crew adapted, repairing damage on the fly, using limited resources with creativity that defied the enemy's expectations. Kale observed everything, fascinated by the combination of strategy, emotion, and instinct. Humans were unpredictable in the best ways possible. Their courage was not in ignoring danger, but in embracing it, improvising solutions, and refusing to surrender. Kale had seen their strength in the simulations, but this was real, life, risk, and potential loss. And yet, humans persevered. The alien vessels adjusted their approach, realizing the humans were more formidable than anticipated. They coordinated attacks more carefully, probing for weaknesses. Mara noticed the pattern and smiled faintly. "They're learning from us," she said quietly to Kale. "Good, let them think they're testing us. We'll turn it into our advantage." Kale nodded, his voice thoughtful. "Human adaptability is remarkable. Your species thrives under pressure, yet you maintain clarity of thought. This is inspiring." Mara's chest swelled with pride, but she had no time to dwell on it. A massive energy pulse struck the station's outer hull, sending tremors through the corridors. The crew shouted in alarm as lights flickered and systems sputtered. Mara gritted her teeth. "Damage report, now!" Engineer Flynn's voice came over the comms, tense but steady. "Hull integrity at 60%. Life support stable but dropping. We need immediate action or the station won't hold." Mara's mind raced. Options were limited, time was critical, and failure meant catastrophe. She glanced at Kale, who was already scanning for weak points in the station and enemy patterns. Their eyes met, and without words, they understood each other. Together, human courage and alien calculation could overcome what seemed impossible. Kale, I need your analysis on energy pulse frequency. Predict the next strike and tell me where to reinforce shields, Mara shouted. Kale's eyes narrowed, his fingers flying across the console. Forward quadrants are vulnerable. Energy pulses repeat in cycles of 9 seconds. Adjust shields accordingly. Divert power from non-critical systems. Prepare emergency countermeasures. Mara acted immediately, issuing commands with clarity and confidence. Crew members followed without hesitation, trusting her guidance and each other. Drones were neutralized, shields reinforced, and the station held despite the barrage. The alien vessels withdrew momentarily, their intent unclear. Mara allowed herself a brief moment to breathe. "We're not done," she said, voice low but determined. "They're testing us, yes, but we're also showing them who we are. Humans don't break, humans fight, humans survive." Kale stood beside her, his posture slightly relaxed, though his mind remained sharp. "I am beginning to understand the full extent of your species' resilience. You inspire not only those who serve with you, but even observers like myself. Your courage, your determination, it is extraordinary." Mara smiled faintly. "And that's why I said what I did last night. Even in fear, even under pressure, trust and connection give humans strength. It's not just about survival, it's about fighting for each other." Kale's expression softened, an alien approximation of understanding and admiration. "Thanks, love," he said quietly, the phrase carrying more weight now than Mara had ever imagined. "I comprehend its meaning. It motivates, it strengthens, it unites." As night fell over the gas giant, the alien vessels launched their final wave, a coordinated attack that tested every system, every skill, and every ounce of human ingenuity. Mara moved through the command center, giving precise orders, keeping her crew focused, and using every advantage they had. Kale provided predictions, calculated trajectories, and suggested unconventional strategies that humans might not have conceived alone. Together, they turned the tide. The station's defenses adapted, drones were redirected, energy pulses absorbed, and alien maneuvers countered. Human intuition combined with alien precision created a synergy that no force had anticipated. Slowly, the invaders retreated, recognizing the strength of a species that refused to yield. When the final vessel withdrew beyond the station's sensors, silence fell. The crew cheered, exhausted but exhilarated. Mara allowed herself a deep breath, relief washing over her. Kale stood beside her, silent, yet radiating a newfound respect and connection. "You did it," Kale said finally, voice low but sincere. "Your species, your leadership, it saved this station. You have proven humanity is remarkable." Mara looked at him, a small smile tugging at her lips. "We did it. Humans survive, yes, but only because we trust, rely on, and fight for each other. That's our strength. That's why we're here. That's why we matter." Kale's gaze softened, and he spoke again, repeating the words that had changed him. "Thanks, love." This time there was no hesitation, no confusion. The phrase carried understanding, respect, and an acknowledgement that even the simplest human words could inspire courage, forge bonds, and change the course of events. Mara placed a hand on his arm, a gesture of camaraderie and connection. "And thank you, Kale. You proved that even someone from another world can understand what makes humans human." Outside the viewport, the gas giant glowed softly, swirling with colors that reflected the quiet triumph within the station. Stars stretched infinitely beyond, full of possibilities and challenges yet to come. Mara and Kale stood together, united not just by duty, but by trust, courage, and the understanding that even across the vastness of space, connection and resilience could overcome any obstacle. Humanity had survived another test, and with allies like Kale, they were ready for the next adventure, the next challenge, and the next chance to show the galaxy that humans were, above all, resilient, resourceful, and unstoppable. And in the quiet aftermath, Kale repeated the phrase again, softly with reverence. "Thanks, love." A small phrase, yet one powerful enough to echo across worlds, a testament to the enduring strength of humanity and the bonds that made them more than survivors. They made them heroes.